So the love for art actually just developed when I was young. Just sitting in my room while everybody else went out and partied and got in trouble and stuff like that. I just actually was that kid that always sat in the room and turned on some music, put on the headphones, whatever it was, and just steadily was drawing. Whether it was pencil art, lowriders, the Chicano lettering, any kind of stuff that imitated vehicles and like street, street culture. So that's really where it came from. So my first tattoo was my daughter's, was a cross, and my daughter's birthday inside. I felt like I got hammered by a brick the first time I got tattooed. But it was a meaningful tattoo. I feel like when you get your kids' birthdays and stuff, that's probably the most meaningful thing that'll never change in your life. My mom thought my first tattoo was absolutely horrible, so I decided to get a second. I spent 8 years as what quote unquote would be a scratcher, somebody that doesn't have a professional background and formal apprenticeship. My time as a scratcher was spent more or less making my spare room into my house into its own little tattoo studio. I developed some clientele and people that I still talk to today. It was a lot of development, whether good or bad. It was still development on the laptop, on YouTube, and different stuff like that. I mean, you're just kind of limited with what you can do. So the first machine that was ever put in my hand was given to me by another tattoo artist in the Camden area, named Matt Merrill, and he actually called and told me that he had this machine, lime green coil machine. I never thought about tattooing until he tried to really get me to. I think he was just trying to sell me the machine, to be honest with you, to make a little money, which I get. But I ended up buying that machine, bringing it home, and it was just kind of off to the races from there. So the apprenticeship idea came from my fiance Katie. She actually went into the local shop, the Golden Goose in Camden, and actually was asking about getting tattoos. She was getting prices for some work that she wanted done, her and a friend wanted done, and she actually came home and kind of brought the idea up to me just to go in there and find out, see what's the worst that could happen. You don't know if you don't try. So I ended up getting up enough courage and decided to walk in there one day and ask him. So Pup Westfall owns Golden Goose Tattoo in Camden. He has been my mentor, was my mentor for the time that I spent there. My apprenticeship was free as far as price goes, but it was not free as far as time goes, obviously. Tattooing is a full-time gig. It is not a hobby. And my apprenticeship there was really good. I learned a lot of things. I learned some business stuff. I also learned the fundamental stuff about tattooing. I don't think you ever stop learning. So maybe at some point years down the road, you get out of the apprenticeship, quote unquote, apprenticeship part. But I don't think you ever need to stop learning as trying to develop being a tattoo artist. But my time with Pup was very good. And it was at some point an opportunity arose and it was time to move on. Jay, the barber, actually brought an idea up to me when I went to get my hair cut and said that he was going to go into business with Mark Rogers. And he said something about they thought about having a tattoo shop inside of the clothing brand store. And I was like, you know what? that was an idea. I was always apprehensive about it, but at the same point, like, I always kept that idea on the back burner. And when I kind of felt like I was as far along as I needed to, that I could get really with where I was at, that opportunity arose. I sat down with Mark, the owner of Rowdy, and decided that it was, we talked business and decided it was a good opportunity for maybe me to build my own shop inside of Rowdy and kind of see where it goes. So Sonderink is a funny story. So the name Sonder, when you look up the definition, is very interesting, and it's very interesting when it put into the same conversation as tattooing. So I can't quote the actual meaning to Sonder. My fiance Katie can, but she actually brought that name up because she was talking about getting a tattoo, just the word Sonder, and I never really thought it would fit with a tattoo shop name. But the more that I started putting stuff with it, and the more I started looking into the definition and meanings and stuff, I just kind of stuck Sonder with it. I stuck ink with it. She come up with Sonder. I stuck ink with it, and I've toyed with the idea of putting studio or shop or anything like that with it. But I think in the end, we just decided that Sonderink was the name, kind of just two words and simple definition. So, I mean, and this is where it's at. So working full time. So I held a welding and fabrication job for about 3.5 years, and trying to do both along with doing my apprenticeship at the same time was very, very stressful. Not much time for either one. I had to put in my normal time at my job. They required a lot of overtime, and it got to the point to where my love and my idea of business just kind of overtook the welding fabrication part. Now, anytime that you go step out on your own, it's very scary. In all honesty, God willing, like, I would have, if the opportunity didn't come up for me to build my own business and start the shop, I probably would have never decided to do it fully and put the welding shop to the back burner. I decided to walk away from that and pursue my tattooing career full time, and so far here we are. So the shop, since I did my first tattoo on Miss Avery Duckus, if I say her name right, February 18th, I believe, and some of my clients, pretty much all my clients from the Golden Goose, have moved over to where I am today, and since February 18th, it has been slammed, and I am booked up right now till June, and it's a very good feeling that I couldn't really describe any words besides for really humbling, for the most part, because this kind of career does not work without the support of your clients. So when I decided to jump out and start my own business with the support and encouragement of clients and my fiance Katie and stuff, like, being a new business owner is very scary, and there's also, it's not just tattooing and trying to develop more as a tattoo artist. The biggest deal is trying to understand business and how many small little things that go along with opening your own business, as far as taxes go, as far as paperwork and licenses and all these different things. I mean, when you open your own business, you make 100% of your money, but at the same point you have 100% of your bills. So, with a little bit of overhead, making sure you have all your supplies and stuff in place, it's very hard, but at the same time very rewarding. So the small tattoo shop is just a very, I always call it a small tattoo shop with big dreams, because I have an online presence and an online store that I want to start. That is another business idea. I would also like to, at some point in the future, I would also like to open another tattoo shop. So I have two Sonderinks. Well, I changed the name a little bit to make do, but there's a lot of stuff coming in the future. And I mean, there's a t-shirt line, stuff like that. Trying to build more of an online presence along with a brick and mortar type presence, to really further and kind of concrete the Sonderink brand. Trying to make it more into a brand and less into just a single shop. I'm trying to be a very successful business owner along with Rowdy brand as well. Okay, so there's a lot. there is credit that I want to give to a lot of people, a lot of guys that make this happen. And I mean, first and foremost, Mark Rogers being the main guy that owns Rowdy brand. Also, when it comes to making the inner parts of this thing work, the Rowdy brand work, and Sonderink work, guys like Wesley Robbins and Alex Berry, videography, graphic art. When it comes to manning the shop and making sure everything runs as smooth as it sure does, is, you know, you have guys like Adam Hedge that help make this thing come full circle. And then you also, when we say Rowdy Boys, it's more like it's a group of guys that just have a love for a certain brand and a certain life, and they enjoy, they have fun, but at the same point all these guys want to grow. You know, I mean, with Rowdy brand trying to grow and Sonderink trying to grow, we try to put a staple in Camden as a different type of store. It comes full circle. In Rowdy, you have Faded J and you have the Sonderink shop, and all these things together with all the guys that make this happen. It sure feels more like a family, versus just a group of guys. Those guys that help run the shop you can count on to be here. You can count to help boost your brand and to keep you in business, and you know, and just kind of make it more seem like a family when we grill out and we do have videos and we do these things. You know, it feels more like a family than it does just a clothing brand or just a tattoo shop, or just a barber shop. You know, it comes full circle.